All right. The number one question that we're getting right now is exactly this. Is it a good time right now to buy or should you just rent? Now, I think everyone knows if you've watched this channel at all, I am a real estate professional. Okay. I'm a realtor, right? And obviously that's how I make my living. So, certainly, when people buy a house, there's something to be gained there. And so, that being said, I imagine you expect me to say, it's a great time to buy, right? Because I'm a realtor. But the reality is, this is the number one question we're getting right now. Is it a good time to buy or is it a good time to rent? And guys, I think anyone with half of a brain, honestly, is going to answer this question kind of the same way, no matter what. Now, if someone tells you, no, this is absolutely the best time, you should do it. mm, I don't know about that. Or if they say this is absolutely the best time to rent, you should do that. I don't know about that either because I don't think there's conclusive evidence either which way of which way you should do or what you should do because it all comes down to your specific situation. For example, there are a lot of homes that are being bought and sold right now in the Maricopa County. Now, Maricopa County is a huge metroplex. We're talking 5 million people. And so there's going to be some obviously sales because it's such a big, large population group. However, there are always going to be people that have to buy for certain reasons, have to sell for certain reasons. And so, the fact that it's never a good time to buy or sell, I don't buy that. I operate more so on what it's like for your specific situation. So, as an example, let me just show you a chart. I'm going to share my screen with you guys and just jump right in here and show you what's going on. Because right now, you're talking active listings right here. You can see it as of today. 28,721. That is a lot. Now, granted, it's down from where it was last month, but it's still a lot of properties to choose from when it comes to condos, houses, patio homes, the whole bit. Now, you can see average days on market for sales are 84 days. For active properties on market, it's 96 days. Homes are not flying off the shelf by any stretch of the imagination, but I knew you already knew that. But this is what I want you to see. Listings under contract, 7,665. Actual properties that close escrow because the cancellation rate is higher than it has been in a long time, right? Not every deal goes under contract sells. But look, sales per month in Maricopa County, 5,529 in the last 3 days, albeit it's down. Last month, there was 6,300. So it is down. The market is not robust by any stretch of the imagination right now. So could it be a good time to buy? Well, if you want leverage, if you want negotiating power, when you go to purchase, that would say this would probably be a good time to do it. But does that mean the market's not going to go down any further? Not necessarily. It easily could. So no one has that crystal ball. But all this data that we track here at Everything Phoenix or other people that do a good job without bias, because here's the deal, guys. Anybody with just a ton of followers and subscribers on YouTube, as an example, you got to be careful of what they're saying because they make their money off just the amount of people that comment and watch the video because they get paid for ads, right? However, so you got to be careful on that because that is somebody that may be trying to get clickbait going and that sort of thing. So be careful on that. But also be careful of those realtors too, like me. You got to be careful because they might be giving you information that really is not in your best interest in order to serve themselves. And that's not cool either. So what does the data say? That's what it comes down to. Let's look at this article right here because this is someone else's opinion that is for all intents and purposes is a journalist, and so maybe they don't have a altered agenda, right? I mean, what journalist has an altered agenda or a hidden agenda? Okay, don't answer that question. That's probably a bad example. But here you go. Yahoo Finance. Is it a good time to buy a house? Here you go, guys. This is interesting. This is updated as of yesterday. This Hal Bundrick, senior writer, says this: that changes are slowly filtering through the U.S. housing market. Mortgage rates have gradually decreased, which is true over the past 12 months. Sellers are discounting list prices, but the government shutdown is impacting the housing market as well, of course, resulting in slower closing times, etc., blah, blah, blah. Is it a good time to buy a house? Let's cut to the chase. What does he say? Well, before he gives you his answer, let's look at a few more things. Understanding the 2025 housing market. Active listings are up. Price reductions are up as well. Time on the market is up. Mortgage rates are down, but not having the impact that we need them to right now. Okay. So home inventory has obviously grown significantly. So you have all these things going in the kind of the wrong direction, if you will. So is it a good time to buy a house? And here's the generic answer everyone pretty much gives. To answer that question is whether a good time to buy or sell. buy a house, I should say, for you personally, you must look beyond the broader market forces. Buying a home is more than considering macroeconomic factors. It's an important life decision based on your personal and financial situation. So this is a great question, guys. I love this question. It's very similar to the question I ask people all the time, which is, what is your exit strategy? Where do you want to be in 5 years? Okay. Obviously, homeownership takes a long timeline, because if you don't play that long timeline, you could be looking at incurring costs when you sell, obviously, and therefore the appreciation hasn't taken hold. You will be losing money potentially if you factor in, potentially what your rent would have been and did that whole formula. You could lose money if you're not careful. Your income, things to consider. Your credit score, very important to consider. Okay. Your current debt load, very important to consider. All right. These are all good things that you need to pay attention to. But what does it mean for you? Guys, your situation is different than everybody else's. It's different than the person down the street. I can promise you that. And so my question to you is, what are you needing to do in the next 5 years? What are you looking to do? So here's a good checklist. If your job and your income is, for all intents and purposes, stable, meaning you're not aware that your company's going to relocate, or you're in trouble of a layoff of some sort, right? Because your company's downsizing, then you're going to be in this for the long haul. If you have no plans of potentially moving to a different city, you probably will be in this for the long haul. And therefore, at this current time, it could be a good time to buy. But what if you want to time the market perfectly? That's hard to do. In fact, no one can do that. You just get lucky if you hit the very, very bottom. But could it go down further? It could. Macroeconomic conditions would tell you that potentially it could. Why? Because we still have an affordability problem. We have an affordability problem. Now, in the luxury home market, guys, we don't, at least in Phoenix. I can't speak for the rest of the country, but in Phoenix, we do not have a problem there. And in fact, homes over 1.5 million are increasing in price at a rate much higher than any other segment currently in the Phoenix area. The ultra luxury home market is doing well from a price standpoint. So people are still buying that have money and have means, because they want to be in the Phoenix/Scottsdale area and experience what it has to offer from a lifestyle standpoint, because it is frankly pretty good. Check out my videos on this channel about that. But let's go back to the data here, because there's another article that I love that could solve some affordability problems. What do you think? Here it is. You ready for this? Okay. White House's 50-year mortgage proposal has one notable benefit, but a number of drawbacks. Now, does that sound like a death sentence? I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that, because here's the deal, guys. That's a long time. Now, the reality is, if you stay in your house for quite some time, longer than maybe the average person does, then this could work out in your favor, because you get in the game, you get to start building equity. But not everything is all roses. Guys, 50 years is a long time. Now, it would make your payment lower. So they're talking about proposing this because it makes the home more affordable, and it's a home that you own. Okay. So it's backing potentially, or considering backing, a 50-year mortgage to help alleviate the home affordability crisis in the country. But the announcement drew immediate criticism from policymakers and people on social media, who said a 50-year mortgage would do little to resolve other core problems in the housing market, such as lack of supply and high rates. I would tend to agree with that. Okay. So Bill Pulte, director of the FHA, there you go, said on X over the weekend, a 50-year mortgage would be a complete game changer for home buyers. Okay. What do you think? Guys, comment. What do you think? Would you sign up for a mortgage that was a 50-year mortgage if it dropped your payment by almost half? I'd be curious to know what you think. Okay. The 30-year mortgage is uniquely American, right? Most places don't have that. And the default way to buy a home since really the New Deal, which was the FDR, right? Back when his presidency was taking place. Politicians and policymakers at the time wanted to create a standardized mortgage that borrowers could afford and pay off during their working years, when the average lifespan for an American was 66 years old. Lower payment, but extending that life to 50 years does decrease a borrower's monthly payment. So that works. But the average American is living longer now too. So this is part of the thought process behind this, okay? The average selling price of a home currently is $415,200 in September, according to the NAR. Assuming, here we go, a standard 10% down payment and an average interest rate of 6.17, the monthly payment on a 30-year mortgage would be $22.88, while the payment on a 50-year mortgage would be $20 22. So there you go, guys. I was way off. It's not even remotely close to making your payment half as cheap. But it does go down in this example, $200 to $300. That's presuming a bank would not require a higher interest rate on a 50-year mortgage due to the longer duration of the loan, which means the investors get paid back slower. Okay. And if you're an investor who wants an ROI, typically you want as much ROI early on in the process. That's why your mortgages are front loaded, by the way, with interest. Okay. So this is interesting. What do you guys think about this? What do you think? This is good. Is this a good temporary situation to have a 50-year mortgage, or is it end? Okay. Yes, I agree with it, Kelly. I think a 50-year mortgage is great, but I also think we need to solve some of the other issues because, guys, we do have a supply issue. I know. I just showed you a graph in Phoenix that shows 28,000 homes on the market for sale. That's a lot. So, Kelly, we don't really have a supply issue. Well, right now we don't, but the long term, we will. Okay, guys. So this is going to be a problem continuing to move forward into the future for Phoenix and America because we stopped building homes during COVID. We stopped building homes during the Great Recession of 2007 through 2012, approximately. So because we did that, we are behind, and it's going to take a while to get caught up. Okay, so that's where we currently stand. So we know we have to continue to build homes. And by the way, sidebar, this is my issue with a lot of the home builders being publicly traded. When you're publicly traded and things go south, right, the economy, for, like say COVID for a short period of time, you want to make sure your stock doesn't completely plummet and everyone sells. So you conserve cost like a business would do. You don't go gangbusters and keep building. But what if the government or something was able to subsidize these home builders during bad economic times when they stop building? I'm not a big fan of government getting intertwined. I am a big proponent of capitalism and letting the free market kind of do its thing to an extent. But man, when that happens, when downturns in the economy happens, because these home builders are big ones, are publicly traded, they pull back, and therefore then the economy starts moving. And say a year or two later, they get going again. But you miss those years in which the economy was bad and they pulled back. So that's not the case all the time because obviously projects take a long period of time to build and they can't just turn the switch off and on necessarily. But we saw this in the Great Recession, especially where vacant plots of land just paused and sat there for years. Now that was kind of unique. Hopefully we won't have that kind of situation ever happen again for the next 40 or 50 years, but you never know. Just my two thoughts. What do you think? What do you think about that? I would love to hear your thoughts. Okay. Now, there are some good information here, guys. I'm going to continue to jump in here because this is not all good information, but it's good information because it's good data. Doesn't matter if it's bad or good. It's just data, and it's good information for you to interpret, not someone's opinion. Here we go. Bank of America. Nearly 1/3 of low-income U.S. households are living paycheck to paycheck. This probably shocks you. I'm being sarcastic. It's a good old American way, right? Live beyond your means, rack up the credit card debt, and then hope for the best, next year or the year after. So hopefully that's not you. Hopefully, if it is, you work on a plan to get out of that horrible game because that's not a fun game to play. But here's the stats, guys. More Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, largely because lower income earners spend most of their money to cover essentials like housing, gasoline, and groceries, according to the new data from the Bank of America. The study released Tuesday found that 24%, guys, of all households are classified as living paycheck to paycheck this year, meaning their immediate earnings go toward the basic necessities. That share is slightly higher than last year, but the rate has slowed year over year. So there's some positive light there, but it's not terribly rosy, right? The reason for the slowdown, this is not rocket science. Financial strains are becoming increasingly concentrated among lower income earners. The number of lower income households living paycheck to paycheck continue to rise, while there is no increase in the number of higher and middle income households per the B of A study. The data shows 29% of lower income households are living paycheck to paycheck, up from 28.6% last year and 27.1% in 2023. So it's going up, and up, right? However, there's been little to no increase in the share of middle to higher income households using their immediate income to cover only the basic expenses. So why are we only seeing an increase in lower income households? Why? In our view, it's likely due to slow wage growth for this cohort, the study authors wrote. What do you guys think? Love to hear your comments. If you're watching replay, let me know your thoughts, okay? But this is a problem that we know continues to rise, guys. Matter of fact, I read a report a couple weeks ago where in the higher income, the higher housing markets like San Francisco, Vancouver up in Canada, you're talking 60 to 70% of someone's average income per month going towards housing payments or housing costs and expenses. This is crazy. That means you're living on the rest of it for everything else, from paying for your kids' stuff to your own personal hygiene and your maybe entertainment or cars, whatever it is, right? Car payments. So crazy, guys, right? Crazy times. So we do have an affordability issue. And that's why you'll hear people say this is not a good time to buy, because affordability is out of whack, and you need to wait until affordability gets better, because it's going to have to come. There has to be a correction, a natural correction in the marketplace for this to happen. And you could be right. You could be right, because affordability is high. There are a lot of factors, guys, that are still causing this to happen. Now, let me give you an economics example here, guys. A lot of people aren't talking about this. Okay. Now I'm not gonna go super deep on this, but bear with me. Here we go. Ready? Right now, why is it when the federal funds rate goes down, meaning the Federal Reserve drops the rates, the 30-year fix doesn't necessarily go as much down proportionally with it? Well, we know it's because it's based off the 10-year, right? And it's based on the 10-year, so therefore it's indirectly based off the federal funds rate, not directly. That being said, the reason why it goes in the opposite direction sometimes, goes up when the Federal Reserve drops their rates, is because the Federal Reserve also announced, guys, that no one talks about this, that they are not buying mortgage-backed securities. They're not printing money to purchase MBS, i.e. quantitative easing, no MOS for a while, by the way. And not only are they not buying any, they are now starting to unload them and sell them. Well, to sell them, investors won't buy them unless there's a good rate of return. And to keep that rate of return somewhat enticing, they have to have it high, which means the 10-year has to be high, which means that 30-year mortgage rates are going to be higher and not come crashing down, which would make affordability a lot better for home buyers. So there you have the crux. So what needs to happen, hopefully, is that more money, capital, comes into the marketplace. They find the return of these MBS satisfactory. They buy them, and therefore they can start lowering the 10-year to be able to offer 30-year fixed rate mortgages at a lower number. Now, that's just a high level general overview of that. So if you have more questions, give me a call. 480-660-5974 at the number scrolling below. Shoot me a text. I love to chat with you about this. But wait, there's more. We got to cover the basics and some other stuff too, guys. Some development stuff happening around Phoenix, which is kind of interesting, right? From the Phoenix Business Journal. We're going to cover in just a second. But here you go. Oh, by the way, I'm going to pause real quick. Happy Veterans Day. For anyone who is a veteran out there, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Personally, I am proud to be an American. I made a post on social media this morning saying I'm proud to be an American, and I would not be free as an American without the sacrifice of all of our veterans, guys. My grandfather served on Omaha Beach on D-Day. He was in the first wave, 29th Infantry, 116th Regiment, landed on Dog Sector Green. And I had the good fortune to go see Omaha Beach back in 2010, 15 years ago, just before he passed away, and see what the perspective was that he had landing on that beach that morning. It was incredible. Like, literally gives me chills and goosebumps thinking about it. What he went through as a 19-year-old in 1944. My dad served in the Air Force. He got stationed in Okinawa during Vietnam, never had to go to Vietnam, thank the Lord, but was close to going there, and then the war ended. So I come from that type of a family. I did not serve in the military. I ended up playing football in Nebraska back here instead. But I love our veterans, and thank you so much to all our veterans out there on this Veterans Day. Okay. Now back to the action. Here we go. I'll wrap this up, guys, and get you on your way. But here's the overall Cromford Market Index, guys. We know that the Cromford Market Index is a balanced market between 90 and 110. Well, where are we at right now? 78. Not good, meaning it's a buyer's market. So I guess if you're a buyer, that could be good, right? It's the data would tell you it's good. Now, have we ever seen this data go down, the market index go down to like below 50? I don't recall. It may have happened back in 2008, 9, 10, possibly. I don't recall that. It could have. But this is the lowest it's been in certainly 15 years or 14 years that I'm aware of. So this is a good time to buy according to the data. But guys, let us know where you're watching from. If you don't mind commenting here. If you have a question or a comment, I'm sure someone else has the same question or thinking the same thing. So let us know what your thoughts are on that. Okay. Now, if you are curious what the suburbs are doing, here you go, guys. Fountain Hills leads the way, and it's going up. It's a seasonal market more so in Fountain Hills, and you're seeing the demand starting to increase because the weather is nice here in Fountain Hills this time of year, and it will only get better. Fountain Hills at 157, Crawford Market Index. It is a seller's market. Paradise Valley 138, Chandler 129, Scottsdale 126, guys. So arguably the top 4 to 5 suburbs in all of Phoenix in terms of demand, where people really would like to live if they can afford it, are coming in at 1, 2, 3, 4, and even 5. And possibly you can make the argument of number 6 as well. So there is no coincidence when it comes to that. Okay. Pretty interesting, right? I think so. Okay, there's the stat of all the stats. Guys, this is a graphic I will leave you with here. This gives you a good visual representation here of what's going on, guys. So it looks or feels maybe kind of bleak. Maybe the news source you're watching is saying this, that, and other thing, and you're like, oh my goodness. Well, maybe it kind of is, but look at this. This is the stats. This is just a pure raw data. Whether you want to feel like this is correct or not, this is correct. Here we go. Active listings for sale. It's up 21.5% through October 13th, year over year. Up 21. That's a lot more properties on the market for sale. Okay. Listings under contract are also up 1.4%. So demand actually has increased since last October. Monthly median sales price, it is up as well, October to October. Now we're in November, and so now that has actually come down. It's around 445 now, I believe. But through October 13th, it was up from the previous October, 1.1%. Total monthly sales were at 5.28, and the median days before accepted contract are increasing, but it's still only at 41 days on market. Guys, days on supply is, or days of supply, is at 126. 126. So divide that by 30. What is that? For about 4 months, a little over 4 months on market for days of supply, not on market, days of supply. So if you have 4 months of supply, that means in 4 months, if no other homes come on the market, and all these homes would be sold in 4 months. They would be eaten up that fast, otherwise known as, I guess, somewhat of an absorption rate. Okay, let's dive into a couple articles because these are interesting. Denver home builder gets first closing at massive Teravalis development. Guys, Teravalis is huge, 37,000 acres and 133 home builder permits pulled. A lot. So it's a 37,000 acre master plan community happening way out on the west side of the White Tank Mountains in Buckeye. But Buckeye is exploding, guys, and they are full speed ahead on this community. Florio is a section of Teravalis, as well as the initial one, which was, Howard Hughes broke ground on this. It used to be called Douglas Ranch. Okay. Florio is the first community within Teravalis, and there'll be more coming soon. Okay. So that's Teravalis. If you want a cheap home out that's brand new out in Buckeye, that would be a good place to go. And it's going to have all kinds of amenities. It's a huge master plan community. This is kind of juicy. The $2 billion Ritz-Carlton Paradise Valley developer files for bankruptcy. Guys, this is one of the largest development projects in the Scottsdale area for entertainment, especially the Ritz-Carlton on the border of Paradise Valley and Scottsdale. This is swanky as all get out. Very luxurious. Okay, $2 billion project. And the developer, they were filed or had filed a bankruptcy foreclosure filed against them. Therefore, they filed bankruptcy as a countermeasure to stay the foreclosure from their lender. So this is going on and on and on, and we don't know how it's going to work out, but the project's almost done, but it's not finished yet, and it's been delayed because of financing issues along with it. Okay. Phoenix lands in the top 10 real estate markets to watch in 2026. Guys, this is interesting. And to be fair, this is the commercial real estate market in Phoenix. Okay. Not the residential, although the residential is up there in many, many of the rankings. So that is interesting. So hopefully some positive news in 2026. Business climate report, Arizona slips to number 8, but that's very attractive for many, many companies because you're still in the top 10. In fact, there are quite a few properties in the hundreds, guys. By the way, the hundreds looking to move down to the Phoenix area. And this article goes on to talk about that. Very, very friendly, business-friendly climate when it comes to taxes and things of that nature, guys. The largest sale just happened here for a single building this year at $70.7 million for a commercial building. And this is right here on Raintree and Northside and 87th and Raintree, I should say, guys, this is about, I don't know, 100 yards, maybe 200 yards from 300 yards from my office. Now, my office looks nothing like this, just to be fair and clear. But this office is extremely nice. It's a brand new build, and I have a good client and a friend who offices out of there for two of his companies, actually. But this is a beautiful building, and I threw this in here because it just goes to show you that there is a lot of money still pouring into the Phoenix area. Development is happening, and big money is buying these big commercial and industrial assets. Now, guys, this is a cool one. But before I get to it and share you what this is about, let me just share with you one more article when it comes to housing affordability. Okay, affordability improves slightly for veteran home buyers, but most homes are still out of reach. This I want to touch on because it's Veterans Day, and this is not okay. We have to be able to house our veterans. 22% of U.S. home listings are affordable to the typical U.S. military veteran using a VA loan, guys. 22%. That's not good enough. Veterans, both using VA loans and those using conventional loans, can afford slightly more home listings than they could have in 2023 when affordability was at an all-time low. Now, incomes are rising faster than housing payments. That's a good thing, okay? So it's not all doom and gloom, but it's a good thing, okay? So veterans can afford more than half of the homes for sale in Detroit and San Antonio, and almost no listings in the expensive California metros. All right, so I just want to bring attention to this really fast before we hit that cool car thing we're going to show you, because we need to somehow figure out the affordability issues for veterans, let alone the average American. So 22% is not good. 28% is not good. We need to get that up around at least 50% ideally, so our veterans can have a good place to live when they're done serving our country, and while they're serving our country too, by the way, when they're active duty. So that is something that's near dear to my heart, at least. Okay. Life in the fast lane, guys. This is cool. Apex Motor Club is building a mecca for luxury vehicle enthusiasts south of Phoenix. Now, if you have a awesome race car, a muscle car, a classic car, whatever it is that you want to race, this is a great place that you could do it at if, of course, you have the money, because this is not cheap. Think country club, but car racing and not golf, okay? Apex Motor Club offers exclusive racing experiences for $70,000, which is the initiation fee at the lowest level of membership. Yeah, the lowest, I know. 50 luxury villas overlooking racetracks to be built at Apex. That's cool. Apex provides car condos and storage facilities for the members' vehicles, okay? And this is going to be awesome. This is down in the city of Maricopa, and that is obviously south of the Phoenix metro area by a little bit, not terribly too far away, but it is a good trek from Scottsdale or Paradise Valley. But anyways, this is going to be a 263-acre campus with 50 villas overlooking 4.77 miles of black twining asphalt that make up 2 professionally made courses. Okay. This is going to be sweet. There's a $70,000 initiation fee if you want membership. And here's a look down here at some of their car condos that are awesome. They will be owned, not rented as well. And then, of course, some of the storage with lifts. I mean, this is, again, you have some serious money and you want to have some sweet entertainment and drive your muscle car, your race car, this might be an option. Let us know if we can help you out with any of this stuff. Guys, we have several clients that have huge car collections, and we absolutely love talking with them, chatting with them about the car shows they go to, and things like Barrett-Jackson, and it's a blast. I don't have a car collection, but if I had, maybe a little more money, I probably would. So if you guys help me just by liking this video and maybe subscribing to it, that might help me get on my way to maybe buying a classic car one of these days, and we can go racing together, right? I hope so. So anyways, guys, hope you're enjoying the show today and you got the right data, because again, data over drama. It doesn't matter what you feel. The data will tell you the story. Okay. And until next Tuesday, okay, happy Veterans Day, everyone here watching. Next Tuesday, 4 p.m., same time, we'll be right here live, Everything Phoenix, to see if it's still a good time to buy or rent or anything changed. Keep it classy, Phoenix. We'll see you next week.